All right, Pickle. It's Friday. You know what that means. It's time for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday.
The North Texas Honda dealers want to help you score on award-winning Hondas like the rugged and reliable 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Visit your North Texas Honda dealers today or ntxhondadealers.com to learn more.
So if you've got questions about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel, you should have asked them on Wednesday.
Yeah,
that's when we solicit questions
boo.
for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday, so make sure you're watching on Wednesday with This Week in Recruiting. I don't need to talk to you about watching This Week in Recruiting. It's got Greg Powers on it.
Yes.
That's the whole sell job. I don't need to go any further. It's got Greg Powers. But I believe we got some questions from the people, Pickle?
Yeah, top matchup of top 10s here. Number 3, China Spring. Number 7, Connolly. What are your thoughts?
Ooh. It's a really fascinating game that I think might be flying under the radar here. And for Connolly, I'll tell you this. They have been really impressive. 3-0 to start the year, and their offense has been on one. Last week against Cameron, they were spectacular. Kiefer Sibley, he's in another universe right now. He's been so good this year. Their quarterback, Jamarian Vincent, we haven't talked about enough. He's been really good. And then not to mention Kobe Black, who's like a 5-star cornerback. Yep. Like, they're loaded. They're loaded for bear. I have some questions about their defense, and their defense is definitely going to get tested this week against China Spring. China Spring, I think, showed some really good balance last week. And they were playing Mejia. They're a lot better than Mejia, in my opinion. But it wasn't all Cash McCollum. Kyle Barton had a really nice game when the game was competitive, basically, and then they kind of pulled everybody. But this is a China Spring offense that I think is starting to round into form. The question for me is going to continue to be on that defense for both sides. I think this has, like, shootout written all over it, depending on what the weather looks like tonight. That could tamp things down. So, kind of grain of salt with every game we talk about. If the weather's cruddy, that's going to usually tamp down scoring. Yeah. And so
especially with two teams like this.
Absolutely. Like, especially two teams that like to get out and run. You're exactly right. So I would say I like China Spring at home in this one. But certainly if they're not going to have any interest in containing Kiefer Sibley, then it appears nobody has had much interest in containing Kiefer Sibley, then Connolly's absolutely capable of winning this game. And this is just I think this is a real measuring stick game for Connolly, an opportunity to prove that they are a real threat in Region 3 of 4 Division 2. They want to see China Spring. China Spring's 4A Division 1. But if they can get this win on the road at China Spring, I think it would really send some shockwaves across the state and say, all right, Connolly is a team to be dealt with, a team to be reckoned with there in Region 3 of 4 Division 2. Obviously, it'll go through Carthage and the East Texas Power. Is that right? Do I have that wrong?
No.
Yeah, I think that's right. But that is, for me, that's where kind of where I like. No, I'm sorry. Carthage is in Region 2. I'm sorry.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah, but Connolly's in Region 3. That's
gotcha.
So I would say, for me, I am looking for, if Connolly can win this game, I think that they establish themselves as a real threat in 4A Division 2 on that right side of the bracket. And then obviously, look, if China Spring is a contender in 4A Division 1, they're back-to-back state champs. But this would be a real, especially at home, for them to defend against a super hyper-athletic, super fast team. I think that would go a long way towards proving that they belong. So, I like China Spring, especially being at home. They don't lose at home, although they lost to Melissa a couple weeks ago at home. I like China Spring in this one. What is next, Pickle?
Let's go with a question we haven't asked in a really long time. Will Allen make the playoffs this year? It's definitely not a guarantee like it has been for Chex Notes ever.
It's definitely a good question. They have not, if you're interested, they haven't missed the playoffs since 1998 when Todd Graham was the coach. So they've made 25 straight years. It's an interesting question, okay? So let's start with this. I think that Allen is pretty clearly flawed.
Yes.
And I think that they are pretty clearly flawed on the defensive side. And I also think that they have got to grow into the quarterback spot. I mean, this is a team that in three games is giving up 38 points a game. Now, DeSoto is pretty good, but they scored They only scored 39. They gave up 45 at home to C.E. King.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave up 31 to an Arlington Martin team that coming into that game had scored all of 8 points.
Yep.
So I have big concerns about the Allen defense. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the question. Okay. You got to take a look at District 5, 6A, and you've got to find 4 teams that are better than them, than Allen, right? I think Geyer is better than Allen.
Yes.
Any objection there?
No, not at all.
I think the team Geyer is playing, Prosper, I think they are better than Allen.
Yeah, their offense has been lighting it up. That would be a really difficult test for Allen's defense.
Any complaints saying that Allen that Geyer and Prosper are better than Allen?
No.
Do you have any objections to saying that McKinney is better than Allen this year?
They're the only 3-0 team in that district.
I think they look the part.
And
I think that they're for real.
They haven't been light little fluke wins.
No, they've looked very good.
Again, another offensive power.
So now you're talking about, and by the way, I believe that game is at McKinney. Yeah, it's at
which
McKinney
makes it
in week
even harder.
8. Okay. It then gets to, you got to run the table at the bottom of the district. Okay. And so here are teams that I'm pretty sure they're better than. Allen's better than Little Elm. Little Elm can't score. I think Little Elm's offense is very limited. I think they're better than McKinney Boyd. McKinney Boyd, that's who they play tonight, by the way. If they lose that game, then certainly we can close the book on Allen.
Yes.
But they shouldn't. I think McKinney Boyd has severe defensive deficiencies. I think they're better than Braswell. I'm just not sold on Braswell.
Yeah.
They're 1-2, but I'm just not sold on them because that's who they play, by the way, next week. Their win is over Keller Fossil Ridge, who's fine, but then they got beat by 3 touchdowns by Byron Nelson in a rain-shortened game, and they lost to Northwest Eaton. And then you get to what I think is the real turn game here for Allen, what is ultimately going to determine their season, and that is in 2 weeks, week 6, Friday night at Prosper Rock Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think Allen's a touchdown favorite against Rock Hill. Right now.
Yeah.
It's a 1-score game, though. That's the thing. If Allen wins that game, they're going to make the playoffs. If Allen loses that game, they're probably not. Like, that's the reality of it.
And honestly, we could get our answer in the next 2 weeks. Because
Absolutely.
Like you said, if they drop to either McKinney Boyd or Denton Braswell, then it's a no.
I think Braswell, if Braswell plays their paper, and they play if they clean things up defensively, I think they can beat them. But for now, I will say yes. I would say that Allen will make the playoffs, although I think they're going to finish 4th. Right now, that's my pick, which is crazy to say, but I think that's the reality of the situation. All right. We have any more? Got one more?
Yeah. What food have you ever had that you were told, oh, you'll love it? Worst food that you've ever had.
Oh, the worst food. Okay.
Ooh, that someone's told me that I've loved it.
All right.
I love it.
All right. I'm gonna do a compliment sandwich here. Okay. I'm gonna do a compliment sandwich. In 2021, we did the cover shoot in Brownwood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we did the cover shoot in Brownwood, and Brownwood is a lovely place.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely place, lovely people, great stadium. We love everything in there. They have a famous restaurant there. Underwoods. And everyone will tell you to get the barbecue at Underwoods. So here's the compliment. The compliment bread. Constructive criticism sandwich, right? Or
yes.
Meat, right? The barbecue's not it.
No, the chicken fried steak.
Go to Underwoods, get the chicken fried steak. You see the sandwich I
Don't
made?
get the barbecue.
No, the barbecue. The barbecue is it's not Texas barbecue.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of barbecue it is. It's
almost, to me, it's more like a home style barbecue.
Yeah, like a home style like meatloaf barbecue.
Yeah, so it's like it I don't know, it's a home style kitchen, like it's a cafeteria. That's what it's supposed to taste like. So they're doing it right, but I feel like when people think barbecue, small town in Texas, this is going to hit. It's not that it doesn't hit. It's just not what you're expecting.
It's not. I think maybe that's it. Maybe I came in with the wrong expectations, but I was told, get the barbecue at Underwoods. That's what they do.
And you're expecting a rack of ribs
That's exactly
and all
right.
this
or
stuff.
Brisket.
And it's not that.
It's not that. It's just so different. And so that was probably the thing I was like,
It's like meat in barbecue sauce.
But then you get the chicken fried steak, and you're like,
oh, my God. The chicken fried steak at Underwoods is so good.
And that is also the moment when we got to watch Jeff Traylor do the most East Texas thing of all time.
He put ketchup.
Which is, he had the cream gravy, he put ketchup all over it. And like, I'm looking at him like, and he's looking at me like I'm the weird one. Like,
Yeah.
no, you've been doing this wrong.
I will
Tepper.
never forget when the lady in the and I say cafeteria line because that's literally what it is. They market it as a cafeteria, but the lady behind the cafeteria line, she goes, "Would you like gravy?" And in front of the entire restaurant, Jeff Traylor kind of got his coach voice on, and he goes, "What's chicken fried without gravy?"
What's chicken fried
I didn't know
without
you could
gravy?
eat it without gravy.
It was a
He's like-
genuinely offensive thing to ask him.
Yeah.
It was like you asked him like if you could like date his daughter like the
Yeah.
moment that you met her. It's
Yeah.
like absolutely not. What's no.
What in
no.
the world?
Yeah, it was a true East Texas moment there. Do you have one that a food that you were told was going to be great that
No, I feel like that happens more with drinks. Like, oh, you're gonna love this, and it's like, yeah.
I mean, there's. I know I've said this before, but like,
Oh yeah, is your sweet tea?
I'm not into sweet tea.
Yeah.
And there's people who will tell you that this place, such and such place, has the best sweet tea. And every time I get it, every time I try it, when somebody says you gotta get the sweet tea's the best. You gotta do it. Every time I'm like, this is just sugar water with leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that way about coffee sometimes. Like, I'm pretty usual, like, straight black coffee, and every now and then I like a flavored straight black coffee. Like, if you want to add some pumpkin spice flavoring into, like, but it's the actual beans, you know, where it's just straight black, I'll do that. But every now and then it's been like, oh, well, if you like flavored coffee, like, you'll like this, and you get it, and you're like, ew.
Not about it. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly it comes down to taste and like what you're into, but like, I don't know. I'm also the guy who I trust my friends whenever they tell me to eat and drink something, but like I also trust them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I was going to say that happens with like flavored stuff too a lot. Like, just because you like cherry flavored something doesn't mean you're going to necessarily like cherry flavored this.
Yes.
Or like you like barbecue chips, but you might not like this style of barbecue chip. You know,
Absolutely.
like I feel like you can like the brand of whatever it is. Like maybe you like Pringles, but there's a certain Pringle flavor that you're like, no, don't like that. You know,
Yeah.
but it's like, oh, but you like Pringles, so you'll like this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
These are the types of things that you're into, right? So
Yeah.
like you'll enjoy this kind. It's like maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Candy's that way too.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I like sour candy, and it's like, but I don't like that sour candy. you
Yeah,
know?
well, especially like sour candy is a good example because sour candy, it has to be the right kind. Or like, there's also when people tell you that they like try this, it's not that spicy.
Yes.
That is like it's not that spicy to you.
Yep.
To you.
Yeah, that's
because,
a really good
because for example, like I like spicy foods. I like spicy foods.
I do too.
One time in El Paso, notwithstanding, when I got a little too
Oh my god.
liberal with some salsa when we were out with
He
the
was
coach.
sweating,
Oh
and
my God,
Step
it
and I
was
were
tough.
just looking at him like
That was tough.
weak.
It was tough. That was hot salsa. I just took too much of it. Okay, but
He was weak
But
that night.
all I'm saying is, when my in-laws come in town, my in-laws are from Missouri.
Yeah.
I will get like what I consider to be, call it medium mild salsa, right? I think everybody understands what I'm saying. It's got some kick to it, but it's on the mild side of medium, right? There's the hot side
But
of
you
medium.
can taste the flavor. It's not
Exactly.
just hot.
Right. And I'll get that, and my in-laws will be like, absolutely not.
That's so
No.
funny. Yeah, see, usually for me, people will say, oh, you'll like it. It's spicy. And I'll taste it, and I'm like, damn, I expected more spice. You know?
Right, yeah.
Like, that's usually it for me.
I mean, I want a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
I want a little bit
Yes.
of pain.
If my
The
nose,
time in El Paso, it was a lot of pain.
if my nose isn't like, oh, okay, that was a kick. That's how I like it. Yeah, you look like a Looney Tunes thing where they like get really red and then the smoke comes out of the
Have you ever?
ears.
Okay, now do you eat sushi?
No, see, I'm not a big sushi.
We're now
person.
on a tangent here, but like, so I love sushi, and
That's like the one thing that I'm not a
and
fan
I'll
of.
tell you that I love wasabi on my sushi. I love it because of that exact thing. It's not it's not hot. It's just like there's got to be a different way to describe like spicy things, but you only feel like through your nose.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not spicy. You're not like,
no.
You know?
It's just a little bit of good pain. That
yeah.
we
I mean, I
enjoy for
love that.
sicko reasons.
Like, I like horseradish for that
Yeah.
reason too. Like, I like to feel it in the back of my of my nose. But that's the thing, is that I'm always wary whenever somebody says, hey, you should try it, but it's a little bit spicy. I want to go find someone else who I know what their spice level is and be like, all right, what is it? And if it's somebody who's got a high tolerance and they're like, oh, no, it's spicy, then it's like, ooh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's the same difference of people liking salsa but not necessarily liking to eat jalapenos on things.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a difference between the two.
Yeah. Anyway, hope that's an answer to your question.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.